When it comes time to naming our top 10 hip-hop producers, Metro, Weezy, Southside, and Kanye are on almost everyone's lists. But what about Chief Keef? While he's often celebrated for his raw lyrics and unique flow, one aspect of his artistry that often goes overlooked is his production. Chief Keef hasn't just permanently shaped the sound of hip-hop from an artist's perspective, but he's also largely responsible for the erratic production style which has lately started building roots in hip-hop. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at Chief Keef's production and understand why he deserves a spot on everyone's list of top 10 producers. Keith Cozart, aka Chief Keef, first started gaining attention in 2010 at the age of just 15 for his unique sound, flows, and raw lyrics, which set him apart from most of his competition. In 2012, his hit song I Don't Like, which charted on the Billboard Hot 100, got the attention of major artists like Kanye and got Keef signed to Interscope. At the time, the man behind Chief Keef's unique sound was none other than fellow Chicago native Young Chop. With his orchestral melodies and ear-piercing drums, Chop helped bring Keef's vision to life, and together, along with the rest of Keef's friend group, they slowly solidified themselves as hip-hop's most prominent up-and-coming rap coalition. Chief Keef is often celebrated as one of hip-hop's most authentic artists. With multiple hit songs under his belt like Love Sosa, I Don't Like, Faneto, and Hate Being Sober, it's easy to remember him as the young superstar who took the industry by storm in the 2010s. His raw lyrics, combined with his melodic hooks and flow, allowed him to stand out through the noise. Yet one aspect of his artistry that's often overlooked is his production. And I don't mean the beats he chose to hop on. I'm talking about the beats he literally made. As mentioned before, Chief Keef got his start rapping on Young Chop's beats, and unknowingly to most, had picked up a decent understanding of how to make beats from him. In late 2014, shortly after he was allegedly dropped by Interscope, Chief Keef started sharing some of his own production with the world on YouTube with songs such as Dear, Wait, and of course who can forget Wait, the speeded version. These tracks caught people off guard, not so much because of the lyrics or the flows, but purely because of the beats. While Young Chop was able to offer Sosa the dark instrumentals required to make his initial hits, Chief Keef was able to make the beats he believed suited his sound best. And yes, these beats did sound amateur. Because they were. With offbeat snares, multiple layers of clashing sounds, and an unorthodox bounce, they were hard to ignore. This didn't hold Keef back, quite the contrary. He found pockets and developed melodies and flows which only he could come up with, making a lot of these amateur instrumentals fully fleshed out tracks. The public's response, however, wasn't positive. Now, it's easy for me to sit here and criticize people's opinions from 9 years ago, knowing how things turn out, but to be fair, I kind of get where they were coming from. Chief Keef had a brief and unstable career in the spotlight. Fader magazine characterized it as a dramatic fall from almost mainstream grace, and continued to say that Keef's no fucks given approach to celebrity hasn't helped. And that's kind of the point. Sosa isn't just the poster boy for drill music, but for artistic authenticity as a whole. His urge to stay true to his vision draws close comparison to that of fellow Chicago superstar, Chicago or Chicagoan? Is it Chicagoan? Chicago superstar Kanye. It doesn't just stop there. Even though this video focuses specifically on Chief Keef's production, his overall aesthetic, from fashion sense to flows to lyrics, deserve to be studied individually. But let's get back to the beats. In order to give you a better understanding of how perfectly these beats were crafted by Chief Keef, I wanted to take a closer look at 3 of my personal favorites produced by Keef himself, each taken from a different era of his career. Starting off my list is Dear. Dear initially appeared online on September 30th, 2014 on Chief Keef's YouTube channel, and it featured a rather upbeat flute instrumental laid on top of an unpredictable drum pattern mixed with the signature Sosa vocals, ad-libs, and flows. As expected, this track wasn't well received. A comment from 2014 on Reddit said, "How is this dude a rapper? The lyrics are absolute shit and his flow didn't match the beat he produced. Like, this dude rapping on a 3rd grade level." And while this commenter is not completely wrong, he kind of misses the point. For Keef, this was him being authentic, without Interscope laying their hand in his creative process. An upbeat flute instrumental Lil Yachty would rap on in 2017, mixed with a few random drum sounds and Sosa rhyming smelly with belly in an aggressive tone, is what he wanted to do and what we got. This same instrumental would have probably been ignored by every single rapper at the time, but it was perfect for Sosa. Dear marked the start of Sosa's production sound, at least in the public eye, and laid the foundation for the beats he would produce in the coming years, making it a valuable track to look back on. Next up on my list is Awkward. Awkward, which appeared online in early 2016 and featured a very similar production style to that heard on Back from the Dead 2, gave us more experiments performed by Keef in the studio, only this time with slightly better sound selection. Now, what makes this track stand out to me, and a big reason it made it to my list, is when Sosa purposefully adjusts his flow and cadence to match the sounds he used in the beat, allowing us to get a better understanding of what it means to be both the artist and the producer on a record. He also further solidifies his authenticity by leaning into his original sound and claiming it, regardless of public opinion, which at the time time, largely preferred his mainstream hits. Now the last beat on the list, similar to the previous two beats, is a staple when it comes to Chief Keef's production career. And that's the beat for Chrome Heart Tags by Lil Uzi Vert. The spacey melodic instrumental featured on Lil Uzi's 2020 album Eternal Take was the first major production placement by Chief Keef, who up to this point had mostly produced instrumentals for himself and artists of a smaller caliber. The instrumental for Chrome Heart Tags featured Sosa's signature bright melodies coupled with a slightly more conservative drum pattern. The jumpy hi-hat loop and traditional claps landing on the 2s and 4s with no delay gave Uzi a solid foundation to lay his catchy flows, making this a solid track that perfectly matched the project's overall vibe. Now, a good question to ask is whether this instrumental was designed with Uzi in mind, which would make sense as to why Sosa opted for a more mainstream bounce. But given Sosa's dedication to staying authentic, I highly doubt he'd switch up his vision just to match another artist's requirements. So what's the key takeaway from this brief analysis of Sosa's production? Well, for one, if you ever wondered if you should lean into the sounds you like versus giving in and making music that's popular right now, Sosa is the prime example of someone who doubled down on his own sound. And not only that, he actually got people on his wave. If we go back to when he originally started posting these beats, most of us would have clowned on him like everyone else on Reddit. Instead, now there's assholes like me who make videos on the guy and praise his dedication to his sound and vision. What can I say, guy's a huge inspiration. And while we're at it, it's also worth taking a second to appreciate the countless hours and extreme discipline required for a successful artist with hits under his belt to leave his ego at the door and walk into a studio. Instead of doing what he has done in the past that made him successful and changed his life, he chooses to go down a new path and whips out a laptop to make beats. That's actually insane. Now, can we expect to see more of this in the future? Artists choosing to take on both roles? I don't know. You see, you'd expect more people taking this route once someone like Sosa provided the blueprint for it. It's a surprisingly lonely path, and I think I know why. While having the ability to craft the beats exactly to their liking would provide artists with a whole new skill set and open doors to further develop their creativity, most of them don't really want to do all that. They don't want to dedicate more time than the bare minimum to this music thing. I understand some might prefer the process of collaborating with other producers, but the reality is, for the amount of advantages crafting your own beats comes with, it's a no-brainer. The good news is, you don't need to become as good as Metro, or Kanye, or Sosa for that matter. You just gotta become good enough where the instrumentals you make complement your flows and mood, allowing you to cut through the noise like knife through butter. It's probably not going to be that smooth, but you kind of get what I'm saying. In conclusion, Sosa has given artists the blueprint. If you're an artist and you find making beats interesting, give it a shot. Sure, it'll take time away from your current craft, but you'll be able to further develop your skill set and push your boundaries as an artist. If you have a vision for yourself, this blueprint will allow you to lean into it and own it, which in the case of Sosa worked out great for him. But it's important to keep in mind that this path shouldn't be pursued if it's just a way of desperately standing out. For example, if you have zero interest in making beats and crafting your own sound, don't waste your time learning a skill you hate just so you can say you're different. Stick to what you do and do it better. This is the first time I'm ever making a video like this, so if you like it, let me know, and I'll probably see you guys in a couple of years again.